Okay, greetings and welcome. Today is Thursday, April 24th of 2025. Welcome to the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally. I will be here for the next 60 to 90 minutes, hopefully 60 or less. I am not feeling it today. Got some allergies or something, so we're going to try to make this short and sweet, but I have got a lot of interesting topics to cover. So there's our thumbnail for today. Is it time to purge all of the right-wing psychos? Interesting, as Jordan Peterson making waves, criticizing many for anti-Semitism. Is he on target or is he off base? We'll see. We've also got a few other stories to discuss. Here are the headlines that I have on tap. Are anti-Semitic right-wingers, are they psychopathic and in need of a purge? And the deep state, will they derail Trump by starting war with Iran? And the biggest holdup for Ukraine-Russia peace is Putin or Zelensky or something else. Okay, well, we'll just go with Putin on this one. And the left, they can't judge deportation since they caused problem. And the Epstein list release, it really shouldn't matter anymore. Should we just let it go? Let Bondi off the hook? Maybe, or maybe not. And lastly, just a short one. Natalie Winters, is she a better journalist than anybody at CNN? Okay. Well, of course, if there's something I missed, maybe there's some hot breaking news, perhaps you'd like to switch gears. Perhaps there's something that deserves some attention and isn't getting any. You are feel free to drop a line in the chat room. We'll accommodate that into the broadcast somehow, or I'll just completely ignore it and pretend like you're not even there, or not. I don't know. But anyway, it's got some ruthless trolling, constructive criticism, any of that stuff. Feel free to let me know. Okay, well, let's run an intro, and I'll be back on the other side with the headline story. So buckle up. Here we go. Okay, well, greetings and welcome back. Here we go. Let's begin, shall we, with the headline story for today. I guess you could call it a little bit of a slow news day. That's all good. We'll make it short and sweet. We'll get on with our weekend early, perhaps. Okay, here we go. Jordan Peterson saying anti-Semitic right-wingers are psychopathic and need to be purged. Isn't that interesting? So Daily Wire's Jordan Peterson went on Joe Rogan's show Tuesday to argue that anti-Semitic right-wing critics of Jews and Israel are psychopathic and need to be deplatformed and purged from the right. Very interesting. Okay. Because he's been tracking psychopathic behavior on the right. And he is he's a clinical psychologist and a college professor. I'm not sure. I think that's about right, though. He says he's been tracking psychopathic behavior on the right for probably 4 years, something like that, especially on the anti-Semitic side, because that's where it reared its head first. Huh. And I guess according to him, it's because there's nothing more annoying than a successful minority. Oh, is that the logic behind that? That's the big explanation. People are just annoyed by the Jewish successful minority. And that is okay. Well, I guess it's over. All right. Well, we'll just call it a day. See you guys next Tuesday. Anyway, so he goes, yeah, the question is, how do you draw the line? And that's what kind of it was. He's been watching these right-wing people. Of course, this comes on the heels of Dave Smith smacking Douglas Murray around. And now all of the people that were made famous by Joe Rogan's podcast, some of them are coming out to criticize who he is allowed to have on the show, what they're allowed to talk about. Somewhat. So, gonna get interesting to see these guys on tour. And yes, Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson and Douglas Murray. We want to make sure that nobody's allowed to dare criticize anything to do with Israel. They don't really present much of an argument, but let's listen to Jordan. I thought I had one lined up. Here we go. We'll start here.
Line, and that's kind of what I was, because I've been watching these right-wing, they're not right-wing, these psychopathic types manipulate the edge of the conservative movement for their own gain.
Right.
And a lot of that's cloaked in anti-Semitic guise. There's plenty of anti-Semitism on the left too, by the way. So it's not unique to the right.
Well, particularly now.
Yes, particularly now.
Right.
And so, you've let your curiosity guide you, your curiosity and your desire for knowledge, this quest, you've let that guide you as a podcaster. And by the way, I'm trying to work through exactly the same sort of thing. How do you know, given your radical increase in stature over the last 10 years, how do you know when your curiosity and even your skepticism about the fact that things aren't the way that people say they are, because that's certainly been demonstrated in the last 10 years, how should anyone decide what guardrails to put up? Like, what do you look for? Do you have a conceptual system worked out for that? Like,
and
because
what do you mean?
Yeah, you're the psychologist, dude. But I mean, they kind of dance around this issue, which frustrates me and many others.
In what way?
Well,
how do I look for in terms of people to talk to?
Yeah, because you have this insanely immense platform. Yeah. And you're inviting people onto it. And, you said to Doug.
So that would seem like that's a direct line at Dave Smith without mentioning his name, because Dave Smith, comic, came on there and who does engage in frequent debates with people that are in the pro-Israel crowd. And so far, he has done a wonderful job. And they don't seem to really want to answer anything directly. So, and which was frustrating with that Douglas Murray debate. And it was just about whether somebody was an expert or somebody was qualified to even have an opinion on such things. Now they're in damage control mode now. The debate is not going well. So now they're trying to bring out Jordan Peterson, I guess, to do his best PR here to spin this somehow, some way. Now he's just basically calling everybody psychos if you're criticizing Israel. But is he on target? We'll see.
Douglas, and I know this to be true, that you're not really thinking about the outcome exactly. You're thinking about, this is an interesting person to talk to, and I'd like to go on that quest. But then you have the additional conundrum.
You're a talk show host. You want to talk to interesting people that have opinions on things, and that should be a good thing, okay?
We're trying to work this out in the Daily Wire side of things too. Not to say that that's exactly the same situation. It's like, once you gain in reach and authority, then how do you know that?
What is he? Is he reaching inside of his brain, or did he take notes here? I'm not sure. It looks like he's staring at something, like he's got his talking points handed down to him.
How do you take great care that the people you're talking to aren't, what would you say, eliciting or feeding a subculture? Yeah, that's right. That hasn't gone.
Like he took a bunch of drunken scribbles or something, and he's having a hard time deciphering what he wrote.
What the proper aims? Like, I guess the legacy media probably worked that out by having people, mediators, right? and guests. And that was also back when we could rely on the structures of authority in some sense to...
Structures of authority, what to gatekeep and to make sure that certain talking points didn't make it out to the public. You could control the narrative much easier.
Filter. And now we're in this helter-skelter world where everything is
The
up
legacy
for
media
grabs.
is the worst at that now.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. It's called the battleground of ideas. That's great. And independent media. We're not just relying on a few news organizations to control information.
No,
They're the worst.
I
at
know.
that, which is fascinating. You know, it really is. It's really fascinating when you lose faith in a New York Times piece. You know, it's like you go like, well, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I know this. I know what they're doing. I know
Yeah.
they're just, this is editorial bullshit. And that didn't used to be the case, I don't think.
No,
But
it didn't.
But then I go back to like what I learned about the Woodward, Bernstein, Nixon thing at Watergate. That was all essentially an intelligence operation. Have you ever looked into that? You know, I had
Some.
Bill Murray on the podcast, and Bill Murray said one of the wildest things. He read the first 5 pages of Bob Woodward's biography on John Belushi, Wired.
Mm-hmm.
He read the first 5 pages, he goes, "Oh my God, they framed Nixon."
Yeah, we realize a lot of these corporate journalists, if you want to call them that, are actually bought and paid for propagandists that lie and spin narratives. Now, it's interesting. So Joe Rogan is kind of outside of that, but now he's immensely popular, and they're worried about the kind of people that he's putting out there onto his show. And they're not, going after the facts of it. They're just criticizing him for having them on. I guess this is where this is going. Let's pop out of here. So, I don't know. He didn't really seem to have much to say about it. But it is funny. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is why you got to take Jordan Peterson, his opinions with a grain of salt. Talking about the Daily Wire. Well, interesting to note, there's Benny Boy Shapiro, and he's shaking hands here with Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. And people have criticized that even the Daily Wire might be some sort of infiltrated by Israeli intelligence, especially when you have some high-level people like that. So this is, opens the door for people to criticize. So now they're just coming in saying, "Oh, anyone that says anything, now you're anti-Semitic, you're psychopathic." It's insane. So Clinton Russell's been putting out some great tweets on this particular issue, him and Mike Cernovich. And so Clinton Russell here, a prominent libertarian, the talk show host, saying, "Oh, you don't want to fund or arm a foreign nation as it obliterates tens of thousands of kids. You thought America first meant America first. You sound like a psychopath." Well, yeah, that is interesting how people turn a blind eye and will defend Israel no matter what. That's very frustrating. You can't really take any of those people seriously. Okay, let's move on to another one. This person says, "I think Jews and anti-Semitism wasn't on our minds or over our vocabulary until Israel started committing actual genocide in Gaza." Yeah, this forces me to talk about this because it's such a toxic issue here. So sick of talking about Israel, but hey, they got attacked, and that was awful. But then there was a lot of weird stuff that came out of that 10/7 attack, and a lot of really sickening propaganda talking about mass rapes or beheaded babies and stuff like that wasn't even based in reality, but you were supposed to go along with it or you were anti-Semitic. Weird. So now it's dividing, and now people are concerned because it is in a way dividing the MAGA base. Are you Israel first or are you America first? Yeah, we can support our ally to some extent, but how far? Does Israel deserve just our unwavering support and unlimited finances and weaponry indefinitely? Or at some point, are they going to be on their own? Or is that even anti-Semitic just for me suggesting that? But we're seeing a lot of the influencers trying to find out who's who's getting paid to influence things a certain way. Certainly, it's an alarm for a lot of the politicians that are getting paid handsomely by AIPAC. Anyway, says the reason that criticism of Israel has traversed borders into criticism of Jews is because Jews across the world seem to defend Israel's actions. Well, maybe that's not entirely true, and there's many that see the religion and the nation as being two very separate things, and they're embarrassed about the way that the government is, the things that they do over there with their neighbors, Palestine. So the result is people now rightly criticizing Israel for the genocide, or the people and Jewish people for defending it. Yeah, and there's a great evil and human travesty. And yeah, it's open for criticism. And certainly, here's another one. This is even more damning. This is from Health Ranger Mike Adams, very him and Gerald Celente, very outspoken about the atrocities happening there. He says, wow, look, Hamas hiding in nearly every single building in Gaza. That's obviously why Israel had to bomb them all, right? And anywhere Israel wants to bomb, they just say, hey, Hamas might be hiding there, and it's bombs away. Yeah, it could be hospitals, schools, mosques. It's they get away with war crimes in front of our eyes, and you're not allowed to criticize it. It certainly does happen at some point, but I mean, the people that just completely defend this all the time are just ridiculous. So, and now they're really going off the rails with trying to say anybody who's anti-Semitic is now psychopathic. Okay, so let's take a look. Nope, so I'm going to turn the volume down. Rage Against the Machine is going to get flagged. But yeah, you see the devastation in Gaza. Oh my God. That's about as bad as you'll see anywhere in human history. The destruction there. So it's certainly sickening. And we're not allowed to criticize that. Am I a psychopath for criticizing that they're going a bit heavy-handed? Maybe they're not doing a very good job of preventing civilian casualties? Hey, Kenneth, how you doing? No, wouldn't that be nice if that was true? Right. Big ladies man that I am. Not really. Maybe. But good to see you, Kenneth. Sorry, I had to walk into the heart of the hardcore, more Israel anti-Semitism, more BS, but I've got to cover it because it's certainly prominent in the news again. It just won't go away. In fact, it could lead to our destruction here if we're not careful about our next moves. Caitlin Johnstone, writing in the activist post, she's no fan of Israel, saying that they have a right to defend itself as a genocidal slogan, which is an interesting twist. I haven't heard this, but she says, against an occupied, Israel does not have a right to defend itself against an occupied population and a giant concentration camp. Under international law, it has a right to end the occupation, and that's it. Israel has a right to defend itself is just a slogan people say when they want to justify supplying an ongoing genocide. Certainly one way of looking at it. And you notice that when people get into these debates, it's always like the same few talking points over and over and over again. Israel has a right to exist. Israel has a right to defend itself. 10-7, Hamas attacked first. Why are you supporting Hamas? Just stupid shit like that. Over and over, which is why they've lost this debate. It's becoming glaringly obvious. So now they're just trying to shut down any future debates happening and shut down people that are criticizing Israel and keeping them off Joe Rogan's show and just about anywhere else. There's got to be something wrong with that. Yes, pretty much. Lady Gaza. AOC making Blake eggs in the morning. No, that is Mike Barra's girl. I have nothing to do with that one. I wouldn't. She's very attractive, but I gotta have some. I gotta have some intelligence or something. There's no way. I could never. There'd be no way. There'd be no chemistry there. Even if we were appropriate ages and all of that stuff, she would just do nothing for me. Not my type. Even though attractive, but she would have to be, if she woke up and had like an extra 20 IQ points and a completely different personality, then we could talk. But no, I'm an independent, a weirdo Sigma. So no, it's not a good fit. Anyway, let's move on. What do we have? Yeah, Jordan Peterson, more criticism here, talking about the narcissistic benefit and his boss at the Daily Wire, which, of course, we do have the photo op there, so we know that Jordan Peterson is compromised, can't take him too seriously on this particular debate. And all he's got to do is criticize everybody for being psychopaths and criticizing Rogan for having people with different opinions on his show. It's pretty sad to see. Never been that bad. I don't dislike the guy. I didn't really understand why he became so popular. And he's all right, whatever. But this is clownish behavior. And it is beneath somebody who's supposed to be a psychologist and a voice of like reason and common sense. Now you're calling everybody psychopaths. There's a lot of narcissists. There's a lot of grifters. There's a lot of people that will change their opinions, just like Jordan here. He'll shake hands with BB if that gives him a nice, big, cushy job at the Daily Wire. I get it. But now you're discredited. Here's another tweet, another banger from Clint Russell. Despite all the fake labels, damage control, and mudslinging over the past 2 weeks, here's the real takeaway. The neocons can't win an argument against us, and they know it. Their most highly touted debate specialists can't hold a stand-up comics jock. They are panicking. Yeah, the Douglas Murray thing was a disaster for the neocons and pro-Israel crowd. They got nothing. The debate's over. They can't debate. Not even going to see Benny Shapiro is going to run away. So let's take a look from Malik Obama. So it's got some funny takes, but this one's very interesting, saying, I don't understand what Israel has done for the USA, that the USA is so indebted to Israel. Why does the USA send so many billions of dollars to Israel and so ready to spill American blood for them? Why? Somebody make me understand what is the basis of that bond. Yeah, it's exactly what some of us are saying. Why is this our greatest ally? It's nothing but trouble for decades. And they buy off a lot of our politicians through AIPAC. We have an unusual number of percentage Zionists that are in high-level cabinet positions. True, now it's been that way for a long time. Not that I'm not anti-Semitic. I don't care about Israel, but to me, they're on their own. And if you want to get into war with Israel, or you want to go exterminate everybody in Gaza, that's your problem. And it shouldn't have nothing to do with us. Just might take. Why are we continuing? What's with the unwavering support? No. So you're gonna maybe see the divided base, and that's good. It's an important talk to have, as much as these people might want to prevent that from happening. Sad to see. Shame on Peterson, but I get it. Yeah. I don't know, Kenneth. What do you think? Yeah. What's your controversial take on Israel-Palestine? That I can display all over the screen. It's all good. You don't have to. Yeah, these Zionists drive old Scions. They still make those? Remember, that was a hot car for a while. It was like the spin-off on the Toyota. That was a thing, right? It was like a more affordable, sporty Toyota. I remember being in the market for one of those back in the day. I don't know if they still make those. Interesting. I hadn't thought about it. Okay, well, let's shift gears. Here's the back to the headlines. So are anti-Semitic right-wingers, are they psychopathic, need purge? Well, I don't think that many of them are actually psychopathic. A lot of grifters. A lot of, yes, definitely narcissists, for sure. But how many of them are actually like psychopathic and need to be purged? Certainly need to be criticized. So I don't know. It's manufactured outrage. So next topic, the deep state may derail Trump by starting war with Iran. This kind of leads right into here. This is what we don't want. This is the problem with the current state of Israel right now under the leadership of a warmonger neocon like Bibi Netanyahu, to which Tucker Carlson is, saying, deep state may derail Trump by starting a war with Iran. They want this so badly. But this is why we have to call this stuff out, so it doesn't happen. There's no reason for it. It's not our war. We don't have a problem with Iran right now. We got a backwards government, fundamentalist wackos. That's not really our issue. And it wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't for Israel and Bibi Netanyahu specifically. Oh, and Tucker Carlson warned that the deep state wants to sabotage Trump's warning of a golden age. The fastest way would be to initiate a war with Iran. Yeah, that's the last thing we need. Apparently, Trump is furious with Netanyahu for attempting to trigger a nuclear World War III scenario by striking Iran. Luckily, they put a stop to this, because that was certainly in the cards. They're constantly worried about Iran creating a nuclear weapon that they're supposedly going to use direct at Israel, and it's going to lead to the destruction of the planet. And that they wanted to actually preemptively strike them with a nuke, their nuclear reactors. Yeah, how's that going to work out? And then what? The United States is supposed to get your back? Don't like that idea at all. Yeah. Palestine, friend, passing you a beer. Beerstein, pal. Good wordplay there, Kenneth. Scions ended in 2008. Yeah, I don't remember. That was a hot new car. Don't know. Made by Toyota. You would think they would be reliable and last a while, but I don't know. Don't remember. And I haven't been in the market for a car in 5 or 6 years. I ran so far away. Oh, yeah. Well, was it the Gulf Flock of Seagulls? All right, sorry, I had to think about that for a second. Been a while. Good call. All right, let's see. We've got, I'm not going to run this clip, but we got Glenn Greenwald saying Israel's been warning that Iran has been on the brink of developing nuclear weapons for at least 10 years. These warnings have never proven true, exposing Israel's obvious desire to drag the U.S. into a war with Iran. Yeah. So be careful with Bibi. Be careful with Peterson or this clown Douglas Murray. He's a coward. He's always trying to, he's trying to stand up to the neocons and get us into war all the time. There was a great tweet from Mike Cernovich has been putting out some bangers the last couple of weeks. He's been criticizing Murray being of wartime age, failing to enlist in the military, but he wants to somehow for Americans to go and fight and die in foreign wars. And he also said you never get censored if you're pro-war. I think that's true. If you're beating the drums of war with Russia, war with Iran, war with Hamas, you never have any issues getting shadow banned on Twitter. It's a weird double standard. People calling for peace get purged, it seems like. But anyway, so that is all I've got on that issue, I think. Kind of combine those two. But there's, let's see. Here we go. Deep state may derail Trump by starting war with Iran, certainly. But thankfully, Trump is not. He's been critical of Bibi. They did not like the plans of preemptive nuclear strikes. They would like to have peaceful negotiations. They were supposed to come to the White House and meet some top-level Iranians. Hopefully, cooler heads prevail. And we've still got this mess going on with Ukraine and Russia. So the biggest holdup for Ukraine-Russia peace, is it Putin? I guess it's subjective. It's probably a little bit of everybody. I think, I think Putin has been much more reasonable. Now, he did bomb the shit out of Kyiv. But, I mean, this probably could have been prevented. I think he offered a ceasefire on Easter, which was rejected. You know, he might be a ruthless guy, but he's principled. But Trump tells Putin to stop after Russian strikes on Kyiv. It's not happy. Yeah, they went... things got escalated again. They launched some pretty heavy missiles into the capital city there. We've got over 5,000 soldiers a week dying. The Ukrainian government said at least 9 people were killed and more than 70 injured in the largest attack on the capital since July last year, so 10 months. They've been very measured, kind of holding back and minimizing civilian casualties for all the criticism of Putin. So, yeah, launching ballistic missiles as they're trying to broker a truce deal in Ukraine. Doesn't seem like Zelensky is going to give in. And one of the points of contention is Crimea, which is a ethnic Russian majority. Been around, those people want to be a part of Russia, not Ukraine, and they're trying to force them to stay there. So he does not want to give up any territory. Well, let's take Trump pleading for Putin to stop striking Ukraine, brutally attacks Zelensky for refusing peace. He says, yeah, it's one of the major problems is that Zelensky, he says Ukraine will not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. And that statement is very harmful to the peace negotiations. Crimea was lost years ago under the auspices of President Obama and is not even a point of discussion. Nobody's asking Zelensky to recognize Crimea, but if he wants it, why didn't they fight for it 11 years ago? Does inflammatory statements like Zelensky's makes it difficult to settle this war? And he just wants to get it done. So I appreciate his optimism in trying to end it in 24 hours, but it's dragged out quite a bit longer than that. And Zelensky's not being very reasonable. And Putin's had enough. He's escalating things. You know, Zelensky's got no more cards to play. It's similar. It's kind of like Israel trying to drag us into war with Iran. They're on your own. If they're on their own, they're screwed. They need the United States. Yeah, it's easy to pick fights when you got the U.S. backing you up. So, yeah, Americans, Russians, even Ukrainians are torching Zelensky for grandstanding in the face of a catastrophe. And Trump is also warning Zelensky, accept peace or risk losing Ukraine. But Zelensky refuses to compromise, rejecting recognition of Russian control over Crimea and the eastern parts of Ukraine that are also ethnic Russians that no longer want to be a part of Ukraine. Anyway, Trump insists the time for negotiations is running out, with the U.S. and Russia moving closer to a deal that could isolate Ukraine. So he's going to be going down with the ship. If he's not careful, we'll see. Okay, well, what else do we have? A few other stories. That concludes the first half. So is the biggest holdup for Ukraine-Russia peace is Putin? Nah, I'd say Zelensky probably. This could have been done by now. But he's not being very reasonable. I guess you could say Putin's not helping by his ballistic bombs dropping on Kyiv. Yeah, the Crimea River. Okay, well, let's move on to the next topic. The left can't judge deportation since they caused the problem. Yes, we're once again talking about the Abrego Garcia saga. There was a fun little exchange on the 5 with Jesse Waters and Jessica Tarlov. The Democrats are not looking too good. They thought they found this hero Maryland dad. You're standing up for Americans, not getting due process. But it turns out that he was a verified gang member in the country illegally and was involved in human trafficking. Not good. Let's roll a clip.
Jessica keeps on saying there's all these mistakes. First, she said this guy was picked up because he had a Bulls hat. And then he has tattoos on his hand that spell MS-13.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Read the symbolism, Jessica. What are you, a gang detective? Cut it out.
And
then he's wearing paraphernalia that says the slogan for MS-13. And then he gets caught up in a gang sweep with ranking members of MS-13 as part of a murder investigation. Then gets pulled over and he's suspected of human trafficking. Then gets accused of slugging his wife twice, and she has it on video. And suddenly his name isn't Maryland Dad, it's due process. Mm-hmm. You transitioned pretty quickly, Jessica. And to say this administration never admits a mistake, you guys never admitted you opened the border for 4 years.
Yes, we did.
Come on. You're saying this guy
the border was tied.
You're saying this guy's afraid to go home? Because that's funny. In 2019, when he was popped, he said he wasn't afraid to go home, Jessica. Yeah. Funny that you're into due process now, after bringing us the Me Too movement, cancel culture, and the Trump trials. You can't break into the country and ignore the process of coming here and then want a process to leave. You cannot cut the line to come here and then ask to be put in a line to go home. If you guys are going to be the defense attorneys for every criminal gangbanger in America, after you've allowed the gangs to invade and now say all of them need lawyers, it's going to be an eternity, Jessica, to get these people out of here. Johnny went to Baltimore, and the people of Maryland are laughing at you. Blacks, Hispanics, whites, they think it's ridiculous what Van Hollen has done to be able to defend foreign rights instead of the rights of the American people. And the slippery slope argument. Is this the slipperiest slope you've ever seen? If they deport an MS-13 terrorist, you're next. Who? The Puerto Ricans? Anybody with a tan, Jessica? Are you next? No one believes that. This is the dictator hoax all over again. And you lost on that the last time.
Yeah, it was a really embarrassing couple of weeks here for Democrats. They thought they had a win, and now they're really getting buried on this one and exposed for their leaky border situation that led to many of these problems that we have. It's also been revealed this Abrego Garcia, he was transporting fellow illegal aliens in a van owned by an illegal migrant convicted of human trafficking. So he was, the Maryland dad, busted in Tennessee, because I guess he went down to Houston to smuggle some new migrants to various spots, I don't know, Virginia, South Carolina. And it was in a vehicle that had been used for also for human trafficking. That was just kind of the vehicle they had. Your Dodge Caravan they were using. So yeah, there's no way to get out of this one. But I thought there was a funny clip here from Jimmy Fela. Said if he didn't say anything about laws when Biden broke them to let in 11 million illegals, nobody cares what you think about Trump kicking them out, which is where I picked up the headline. So yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I don't remember any of these people raising the alarm during the Biden administration. 11 million people they let in. Some of them smuggled by Abrego Garcia. Said nothing. They were trying to use them as a potential, their future voting bloc. Now Trump is trying to undo the damage, and they're upset with Trump and trying to say, oh, it's got to be due process. Well, due process is great if you're, a legal citizen and you're not a gang member that's now being classified as a terrorist group, and you're not human trafficking. Well, here we go.
Yeah. If you didn't say anything about due process when Joe Biden let 11 million people into the country illegally, nobody gives a flying what you think about Donald Trump kicking them out. Seriously, I feel like I'm getting called a bad babysitter by Casey Anthony, because every single person howling on my TV about protecting the rule of law said nothing when Joe Biden broke that law and used taxpayer dollars to do it. So spare me. You guys know as much about protecting due process as Katy Perry knows about walking on the moon. Guys, Donald Trump is trying to kick out migrant gangbangers who beat their wives. Democrats are trying to have margaritas with them. Think of the insanity of that. You got one party passing laws to protect women like Rachel Morin, the other party's passing the salt. Okay, and stop telling me, oh, if it can happen to him, it can happen to you. Yeah, it can happen to you. If you break into the country illegally, join a gang and beat your wife, it can happen to you. Otherwise, ICE agents are going to leave you feeling lonelier than a dictionary at Jasmine Crockett's house. Long story short, Democrats, if you spend half as much time protecting Americans as you did illegals, you might have a shot somewhere besides the bar.
Okay, well, good stuff there from Jimmy. What a mess. Okay, well, Kenneth, do I have any sitcom roles in the future? No, probably not. Not since I left LA. That was one of the things I really did miss. With so much of the gig work. I really enjoyed working for Central Casting. I was in, as a background actor, in several episodes, a few different sitcoms. I know I was in Schooled. I was in Mom. This Is Us. That's more of a drama. I forget, there's a show on Apple TV. It's like a video game show. I was in the crowd in one of those scenes. But my most if you want to look it up, and I don't know if I can't remember the title for it, but the show Mom from 2019. It was in like March. It was like a March Madness episode. Because I guess the show was about like, I don't know, degenerate gambling and addiction and stuff like that. It's a funny show. There's a scene in a bar during March Madness, and it had to have been 2019 here, right? They have these weird, funky titles, so it's kind of hard for me to understand. But you will see me in the back. There's a scene where there's a waitress and she falls over and she spills a tray full of drinks, and then you can see me. I'm wearing a members only jacket, and I kind of like jump out of the way. You can find that. I don't know if I'd be able to play that. I don't remember where it's at now. I think it was on Hulu. I think I canceled my Hulu subscription. But yeah, I was on a few sitcoms. I really enjoyed that. I actually did probably more catering events out there. The background acting is fun, but it was hard to schedule yourself unless you're in the union. It's kind of pros and cons. Well, there wasn't much, it wasn't a lot of work. It was pretty easy and it was fun. It was just fun to be part of that kind of the Hollywood production. So I'm in Tennessee now. But yeah, that was always what was really nice about LA. The pros and cons. One was just having all of the access to different gigs. Anywho, so not anytime soon. We'll see. Okay, well, what else do we have on this? I guess a couple other odds and ends, and we'll call it a day. How about the Epstein list release? Really shouldn't matter anymore, according to some. So I guess I have two clips. One I haven't seen, which I'm excited for. This one I have. This is Dick Durbin, senator, getting called out by this is Hillary Vaughn, I think, out of Fox News, which was refreshing to see. So I guess kudos to Fox News. You get Jimmy and Jesse, and now you've got Hillary here. It's going to be calling out Senator Durbin, who's also an AIPAC tool, and he's playing dumb about Epstein in the client list. And I guess he's going to be retiring, so that's good to see. Good riddance, the old dinosaurs. But here he is getting called out and plays dumb.
Chairman Durbin, can I ask you a quick question? Why won't you subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs?
So who are you?
Hillary Vaughn with Fox.
Fox, of course.
Of course.
I don't know anything about his flight logs.
Who would dare ask me a question other than Fox? Because MSNBC, CNN, they would never dare mention anything about Epstein. Certainly not on the record.
I don't know anything about his flight logs.
But why won't you?
Don't know anything about it. You, sir, are a liar.
Subpoena them. Why don't you want to know?
I don't know the issue. I know.
There's so many, because him maybe, and then so many of his colleagues probably be sent to jail for a very long time, or perhaps worse.
Who Epstein was, but I certainly don't know anything about the issue.
Well, he was charged with sex trafficking, so why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
Senator.
Yeah, not anybody in his private circle. They're probably terrified, as they should be.
Senator Blackburn has wanted to subpoena them, and there hasn't been a vote in your committee.
Said a word to me, not a word.
But aren't you curious, like, what high-profile or powerful people might be closeted predators and pedophiles? Doesn't that concern you?
Of course.
So why won't you subpoena them if you can?
It's the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
Liar! Oh, first time somebody raised it. Oh, I'm sure. So I know you're a swamp creature, and you and your colleagues are.
So are you curious about
players doing dirty deeds? Maybe on the Epstein list. Not a clown, but good on Hillary for exposing him there. Then we have comedian and actor Joey Diaz also making waves on the Joe Rogan show. Who's not losing sleep over JFK, the Epstein client list, or the Diddy allegation, says that none of it matters. Even if like a Tom Hanks showed up, he said it wouldn't make a difference. And Americans should be more focused on paying off their credit cards than stressing about what happened on Epstein Island. And I guess crimes against children don't matter to him. Now, he's a smart guy. He's usually funny on that show. I kind of see bits and pieces. He's a pretty frequent guest there. And yeah, I was surprised. So I haven't actually even seen this clip, but let's take a look now.
Like, oh my God, we can't wait till the Kennedy report comes out. Well, how is it going to make a difference in your world? It's like these idiots with the Epstein list.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like, what Benny Boy Shapiro said. Like, who cares? Well, what do you got to hide? Why would you not want to know? You got people that have, in government, that have perhaps been in conspiracy doing high-level crimes, and we're just supposed to, that doesn't affect me. It's very disappointing. Let's move on. Let's go back.
How is it going to make a difference in your world? It's like these idiots with
having all of these psychopath parasites purged out of Washington, D.C. Yeah, I think that would affect my life pretty well. Bringing people to justice, very powerful people. Yeah, I think that would be a big win for humanity. This is a shock video here.
the Epstein list. How is it going to make a difference in your world if Tom Hanks is on that list?
I'll tell you what.
Well, that sucks because that's going to ruin a lot of movies I like, but I can live with that.
You don't have to go to work tomorrow. Do you have to do all the same shit? That shit doesn't matter to me. I don't give a fuck who's on the Epstein list. I don't give a fuck who went to Diddy's house. It's got nothing to do with me.
Wow, talking about compromising people at the highest levels. Blackmail, scandals. Joey Diaz, he must be embroiled in this. I know he was a heavy party guy, drug user, and so many things. It makes me wonder if he's tied up into some of this stuff, which would explain why he's squirming here.
Today's world, because of the internet, it makes us think it's got something to do with us. It had nothing to do with me, man.
It's a show. That's what it is.
What's the fucking show? I don't want to watch that show. So now I got.
You don't want to watch high-level perp walks? Terrible people in government finally getting the justice served as they get shoved into the back of a police car and taken to jail. Crimes against humanity, crimes on children. And then who knows what they're blackmailing government politicians to do. We might have gone to wars because they got enough people blackmailed and compromised doing the bidding of some sinister people. That's not good.
Gotta wait here 60 years. We've been watching the same footage. He got hit. It clocked back.
Right.
Lee Harvey out. But now we want to really fuck with these fucking peanut nimble-headed dummies that are like, well, I want to see what's on there. Then 2 days later, the Jews did it. Yeah. Believe me. Just worry about paying your fucking credit card bills, you fucking...
Wow. Yeah, very disappointing there, Diaz. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I would think. What island has he been to? He's probably been at I don't know if he's with Epstein, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was at a Diddy party or something similar. Yeah, it's just a different standard. It's, these weird celebrity circles and cultures. They did a lot of nasty things behind the scenes, and they don't want us to find out. I don't blame them. It's going to ruin a lot of people's reputations, but that doesn't mean they should just get away with it because the truth is too ugly. Anyway, so there we have that. So what else do we have? That's pretty much the last of it. That's covers the first 5 topics. So the Epstein list release really shouldn't matter anymore? No, I would say no way. It matters more than ever. And it matters more because they keep covering it up. Yeah, they gave us stuff on the JFK to shut us up for a while. Extra things, extra documents, extra files. But we're still not getting the full scope. And these Epstein lists that was sitting on Pam Bondi's desk for the last couple months and we still don't have anything. It's not good. So I don't know if they're trying to get ahead of this and they're just trying who cares? Well, they would love it if we didn't care. But sorry, that's not going away. All right, so finally, this is more like a moment of zen. It's been diddled. Or doing the diddling. I don't know. Something doesn't add up. Surprised by that take. All right, so what did I have last? Natalie Winters. Is she a better journalist than anyone at CNN? Yeah, well, probably. Here we go. We got independent reporter destroying CNN for asking her, "Are you a real journalist?" This is CNN clown Donnie O'Sullivan dragged over the coals after conducting an interview with an independent reporter who has been granted access to the press pool at the White House, asking her if she's a real journalist. This guy, CNN goof, just met with Taylor Lorenz, which he spoke positively about accused murderer Luigi Mangione, warning about the rise of right-wing extremism. And now they're upset because they're losing their power and their access. And they're watching a lot of these new independent journalists getting press passes, access to the White House press corps. So they're trying to push back. So here's a clip.
To the people, and I'm sure you see this online every single day, who say you don't deserve to be here because you're not a real journalist. What's your response to them?
Well, I'm pretty sure the group of people in there spent, 4 years covering for someone who was essentially dead, and that's being charitable in my description of him, a president by the name of Joe Biden. So to all those people who are apoplectic over having new media voices, you guys failed, and that's why we're here.
The chair of the White...
Yeah, well said. That's why they're there. They cover up. They march in lockstep with their talking points. They're corporate paid propagandists. They're not real journalists. They're not keeping their editors up at night, worried about what they're going to say. They're not powerful people worried that they're going to be exposed. They're lapdogs. And they've done a disservice to America for a very long time, which is why you've got the rise of independent media people, why you have a Natalie Winters, why you got a guy like me doing this show. I never would have wanted to get involved in journalism or running shows. Like, this never would have occurred to me years ago, but I got frustrated with the way that the corporate media was lying to us, especially after the whole 9/11 era and the unjust wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the woke insanity from the Obama administration, and so much, which has forced a lot of us to get involved as our own citizen journalists. And these hacks at CNN, yeah, maybe they got a journalism degree, but so what? They're indoctrinated and they stick to their talking points. People have had enough of it. So now they're struggling in this new era. It's not going to work. If you had done your jobs, we wouldn't be here. But anyway, I think that's all I've got. Hey, my journalist buddy. Yeah, D911. Yeah, that was that changed everything. So, anyway, what a weird time to be alive. What a weird thing, just for all this, rise of alternative media and Joe Rogan too. And they're worried about that because they can't control the narrative anymore. They can't have all of these different ideas. It threatens the establishment and their power control grid. But anyway, so good on them. Good watching them fall down has been great. Demise of CNN, MSNBC, and so many others. Anywho, all right. Well, I think that's all I've got for today. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Kenneth. Great to have you in, and for all of you watching, lurking, watching the replays. Please like and subscribe. And we'll love you guys. And we'll do it all again next time. Tuesday, Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'll see if anything breaks over the weekend. Not so sure. But, okay, well, that's all I've got again. So thank you all. Have a great weekend. Been a pleasure. All right. Not sure if I'm following that, Kenneth, but thank you. Good to see you. And have a good one. Great weekend. And we'll catch you guys on the other side another time. But I am out.